Hello, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my personal hell, querying. Querying is essentially submitting to literary agents in the hopes that they will represent you and that they'll help you sell your book to publishers. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like sending applications to colleges. It's the same dread, the same anxiety, and it's a hell of a lot of rejection. College apps, I think you did have to pay a fee. I can't remember, it's been way too long. But with lit agents, it's completely free. You never ever ever have to pay to submit to a literary agent. If someone says you do, they're trying to scam you. Your agent only gets paid when you get paid, when they help you sell your book, and that's through your advance and through royalties. All that said, before we get into it, just a disclaimer, this is not a how-to. If anything, this is a how not to, because I did make a lot of mistakes. This is just how I queried, how it went for me, and I'm honestly still learning about the process. So, background. Let me give you a timeline. I tried for years to finish writing a novel. In undergrad, I finished about 1/4 of one. In grad school, I got through about 3/4 of one, which was progress, but I was scared that I was incapable of finishing anything. So 2020, I got a new idea that I was really excited about. I actually got the idea from an essay I wrote for a nonfiction class. This book was YA contemporary, coming of age. It was best friend centric. It had a road trip, so I'm going to call it Project Road Trip. And I thought, this is the one. This is the book I'm going to finish. So 2020 to 2023, I wrote this story painstakingly slow because I had a full-time job at the time. I loved my job, I was very dedicated to it, but it was very demanding, so I really only had time to write during the weekends, or when I was really busy, just not at all. The novel was broken into 7 parts. They were almost like 7 novellas that were each like 50 pages long. It made it easier to write with the kind of work schedule I had, and it also made it very fun to write because I could just jump to whatever novella I wanted to write about that day. Then, March 2023, I left my job for multiple reasons. I needed a mental health break, I wanted to travel with my mom, and I wanted to finish this damn novel. Cut to November 2023, I finished the damn novel. I did Nanowrimo with a writer friend. I had attempted Nanowrimo once before by myself, and I gave up pretty quickly. This time it was so nice to write with a friend. We gave each other updates and we cheered each other on. I had gone in with about 30k words already, and I just wanted to get to the end, however many words that would be. That ended up being an extra 40k, so my total was 77k words. It was a mess, but it was done, and I was legitimately so happy with it. I was proud of it, and I was excited to get to the next step. December 2023, I took a little detour. I submitted my manuscript to a fellowship opportunity, and this was the Reese's Book Club Lit Up Fellowship. I thought it was perfect timing because they had just opened up, I had just finished my draft. They were looking for diverse women and non-binary writers, and they specifically said that the manuscript didn't have to be polished. I thought, great, here you go. Take my book. Now here's my problem. When I submit to things like this, I get my hopes up, like way too high, to the point where I'm envisioning myself at this fellowship, meeting my mentor, meeting Reese Witherspoon, and just taking off in my publishing journey. And then June 2024, I waited months while revising on the side, only to be rejected. No shade on Reese's Book Club. They could only accept a handful of people, and there were hundreds of submissions, so the odds weren't in my favor. It definitely hurt, but I thought, okay, let's just keep working towards querying. July 2024, I moved to Vegas and life gets hectic. But when I had the time, I did a few more revisions I discussed with my beta readers and my writer friends. And then October 2024, the actual querying. How did it take this long to get here? Project Road Trip felt as ready as it would ever be, so I just went for it. I did the research, I made a long list of literary agents that I wanted. I used sources like Reedsy and Manuscript Wishlist, and I would recommend using those. I had another list of names that I had compiled over the years from acknowledgement pages from books that I really loved. There was one agent that was always at the top of the list. I wanted to work with her so badly. So I started submitting, and querying is very time consuming, so I did it in batches. I would do 5 one day, maybe 10 one day. I would wait a week or wait a couple weeks and then do more. November 2024 to February 2025, I gradually submitted to 50 plus agents. So the mistakes I made. I queried my top agents first, which is a big no-no. This was my first time querying ever, so of course those first few submissions were not going to be great. And so those not so great submissions went to those top agents. The dumbest thing I did was with those first 5 queries, I did not format the cover letter as an actual cover letter. I didn't say, "Dear so-and-so, sincerely, Sarah." I just put the frickin'... Don't ask my reasoning. I don't know where my head was at. My queries did get better as I went along, but yeah, I do regret that. At first, I only queried agents who were specifically looking for my genre or my type of story. Agents who wanted female friendships, who wanted family drama, that kind of thing, that matched my book. But as I was running out of names, I got a little desperate and I would just submit to anyone who was taking YA Contemporary. During this time, I got 2 requests, one partial and one full, and naturally I got my hopes up. I'd imagine what it would be like to get a yes from this agent. I would imagine the video call. I would imagine being so happy that I would cry, telling my friends and family. I would just imagine everything up to getting published and seeing my book in stores. It was all in my head. I convinced myself that it was going to happen, and ultimately both agents said no, as kindly as they could, which I appreciate. They gave me similar feedback, which I will read to you. This one says, "Dear Sarah, thank you for sending me the manuscript for Redacted. I'm sorry to say, though, that I did not feel the level of enthusiasm for your project to take it to the next step, and so I must pass. The protagonist's voice is very engaging, and I think your concept is a strong combination of universal themes and specificity that makes the characters feel unique. However, I felt the scope of the story was too narrow outside of the road trip. You may want to consider cutting the first chapter and starting with the second. A lot of that exposition becomes clear in the next few scenes. Thank you for the opportunity, and good luck with other agents." And then the second one says, "Dear Sarah, I appreciate you taking the time to send me your work, and I'm grateful to have been given the opportunity to read these pages. Unfortunately, while I adore this premise, I found myself wishing for a stronger central conflict to keep up the pacing in this narrative, and provide more of a through line as the story goes on. Without that to follow, I'm sorry to say that I don't think the project is the right fit for me at this time. Since it's imperative that you find an agent who's as passionate about your story as you are, I hope you'll continue seeking the right representation for your manuscript." Basically, both saying that the conflict wasn't strong enough. After some thinking, after some crying, for sure, I came to the conclusion that they were right. My story still needed a lot of work, but my heart just wasn't in it anymore. While waiting for all these query responses, I had started a new writing project, and that was meant to be a companion novel to Project Road Trip. So since I was already working on something else, since I had gotten a lot of distance from Project Road Trip, I was just tired. I realized that I wasn't ready for revisions, and I knew they had to be big revisions. And again, this novel was based off a personal essay, so it was personal. And I think at that time, And right now, I'm just not ready to tackle that. Okay, so where are we? March 2025. I get another idea. I write an outline for it. I practically salivate thinking about it. So I pause the constant check-ins on Project Road Trip's queries. I pause the writing on the companion novel, which was at about 25k words. And I start drafting this new idea, which has become Project Psychic. I love Project Psychic. We love Project Psychic. June 2025. The last of my queries for Project Road Trip, they fizzle out. So after 5 years with this novel, I officially shelve it. And then stats. You want to hear about my stats, right? The quickest rejection I got was less than a day. I think it was only a couple of hours. And then the longest time it took for a rejection was 5 months. Out of the 50, I got those 2 requests. And out of the 50, 13 did not respond, including my top agent. Now we're in August 2025 when I post this, probably September. I'm almost done with Project Psychic. I'm working through the 3rd act. I love it so much that the idea of querying it terrifies me, but I'm not giving up on my publishing dreams. So I'm going to finish this novel, I'm going to revise the fuck out of it, I'm going to give it the time that it needs, and then I'm going to go through the fucking querying process all over again. I ask the question, why do I do this to myself? Constantly. Honestly, I still don't know. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, it makes me spiral into anxiety and self-doubt, but determination overpowers all of that, apparently. If you want this, if you really want a book deal, you have to really want this. And I do. If you're currently querying or you're thinking about querying, I wish you the best of luck. It's a long and painful process, but I'll tell you what I constantly told myself. These agents have so many queries to go through. They can only accept so many clients. A no doesn't mean your novel sucks, it means it wasn't the right fit. And you want that right fit no matter how long it takes. If anyone has any advice for me about the querying process, I will gladly take it. In the meantime, it's back to work. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.